Hello everyone, welcome to my online channel The Palm Leaf. This is video number 26 of the Data Analytics and Visualization series, and we are looking at the STRINGR package. In the previous video, we looked at how we could detect a particular pattern using the str underscore detect function inside STRINGR. In this video, we're going to continue with the detect patterns. We're going to look at str underscore which, str underscore count, and str underscore locate and locate all. Right. So let's quickly get into action. The first one, right, which is str underscore which. So what it does is it actually returns the index of all the strings which are matches, right? And again, it's a very simple syntax. You just have to write str underscore which and then just mention string and pattern, and that's it, right? So let's quickly run line number 24 and see how it looks. So what is this, right? If you look at line number 24, we have created a vector with with a few values like only, one, on, two, and jar, and we have used the concatenation function to ensure that this comes out as a vector. So this is your string vector, and then what you're trying to do is you're trying to see if you can identify whether on is there or not. The moment you run it, the values that you're getting is 1, 2, and 3, which means that on is present in the first value, which is only, the second value, which is 1, and the third value, which is on. It is not available in 2 and jar, right? Which it is not available. So essentially str underscore which, it gives you the return, it returns the index of that string vector, right? I hope that is clear. Now, can we use this? In a data frame as is, right? So if we, I mean, similar to the str underscore detect, if let's say if we call the sentences column, and then if we are trying to identify whether on is there or not, will it return anything? Let's try and push this into a new variable called as m3. Now, if you run this line of code, it gives you an error because you can't do that, right? And the reason why that is because the replacement has got lesser number of rows than the actual value. So I mean, it is not able to fit it. I mean, the output of str underscore which is going to be less than or equal to the output of all the strings, and hence it can't push it into a value, it can't push it into a subsequent column, right? But let's just try and see if we can push it into a vector and then see how the vector is. So I'm going to try and push it into a variable called as m, and let's quickly look at m, right? So what you can see here, in each of these strings, right, which is the sentences column that you see in the x data set, you see that when I run str underscore which, I'm getting a lot of numbers, right? Which means I'm getting some 145 values, and each value I'm getting where I'm getting on, right? So that's the output that I'm trying to I'll get when I run str underscore which. Let's move on to the next function, which is str underscore count. Now this is a straightforward function. What it does is it gives you the number of matches in the string, right? Let's just quickly run the str count function, which is line number 33. So you just have to write str underscore count, and it's the same syntax. You put in a string, and here we are using a data frame, which is like a table, and the data frame is called x, and we are calling the sentences column, and we're giving a pattern called as on, right? So let's see what the output is. So what you see what you see as m3 is the number of counts of the matches. So you can see that row number 1 has got just one on, and hence it's returning one on. If you just sort it, you will see that in row number 298, you can see that there will be three times that on is going to be repeated. One will be repeated in the word one, the second time it repeats is on button, and the third time it's repeated on the word gone, right? So using the str underscore count function, you can actually understand the number of times a particular pattern is repeated across a string. So that is str count. Now let's say you want to locate a particular string. right? So we can either use str locate or str locate all. Now, str locate will only give you the first time the pattern is repeating, and str locate actually looks at all combinations, right? So let's quickly look at it. If you run line number 39, right? So again, we have got a vector with 5 values in it, and we're trying to identify the word on, and str locate gives you two columns, right? It gives you a start column and it gives you an end column. So what does that mean? It means that wherever you have a pattern, so let's say in only, it will I mean the pattern on, it starts at position is equal to 1 and ends at position is equal to 2. Now here we have got a fixed length phrase, right, which is on, and that is a pattern. But the moment we start using regex, and so the length of your pattern is going to be dynamic. So the str underscore locate is a good function to actually identify where your pattern starts and where your pattern stops, right? And you can also use it in a data frame. You don't necessarily need to use it in a vector. So what do I mean by that? Right, so as in anything, if you want to convert a vector into a data frame, you just have to write data frame data dot frame, and then in the parenthesis you just mention the vector, right? So now we have got we have already looked at this value, right? This value returns what you see in the console. It returns a start and an end. It returns 2 columns. Now what we're trying to do is, instead of the vector, we are just using the sentences column in the X data set, and we're just trying to say, okay, go through the sentences column, give me the start and end of the first pattern of the first uh, on that you see, because our pattern is on, right? So in this case we will not get value. I mean, button and gone will not be captured. Only one will be captured in row number 298, right? So let me just quickly run it. So I've pushed this into a variable, a vector called as t, and let's just quickly view t, right? So you can see I can see start and end, right? And this was my X data set. At position number 22, I have got the variable, I've got the word one, and at position number 23, I finish my pattern, right? Now how do I combine these two things? And because I pushed it separately into another data frame called as t, if you want to actually do a combination, just want to see both of them side by side, what you do is you use the cbind function. Okay, so this binds 2 columns together, so it's like a column bind, and you're just calling x and t together, and you push it back into X. So now when I look at X, what I get is I have my previous X, which had M1, M2, and M3, the columns that we created, and we have got the start and end, right? So it's very quickly that you can kind of merge two different vectors using the cbind function. So this is a very good and quick measure to just see where your pattern starts and where your pattern ends. Now the only different thing that I want to highlight is you can also use a str locate all function. So what it does is, instead of just giving you the first pattern, it will give you all patterns. So let's just quickly look at it, right? So only one is your first word here, right? So it has got 2 ons in there, so hence you have got 2 rows. The first one starts at position 1 and ends at position 2. The second one starts at position is equal to 6 and ends at position is equal to 7. Similarly, if you look at the second value, it's 1 match on. So again, it has got 2 ons, one starting at 2 and ending at 3, one starting at, the second one starting at 13 and ending at 14. So and the last two values of 2 and jar, they don't have the value, so you don't see anything there. So you can also use the str locate all function, and if you want, you can even push it into a data frame, so that if you want to do a quick filter on Excel, you can do that as well. So these functions that we just saw, the detect, which, count, locate, and locate all, these are string or pattern, these are pattern detecting functions inside STRINGR, right? So this is the first part or first aspect of STRINGR that we have covered by looking at these functions. I hope it was fairly easy to follow. As always, please feel free to leave your feedback on the function on the comment section, and I'd be glad to look at them and respond back to you. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.